Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 8:04 p.m. If everybody could rise and flag salute and a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
No, I don't. Do you want me to do a roll call again? Because
Yes.
Committeeman Davis is on the
Yes,
phone.
so this way everybody knows. Thank you.
Okay. Committeeman Eric Davis?
Yes.
Committeeman Michael McLaughlin?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chris Morris?
Here.
And Mayor Al Farrow.
Here.
Committeewoman Tara Zabrowski is absent. All attendees and participants agree to conduct themselves in a manner appropriate for public gathering. Individual speakers should be advised that no right of privacy protects a person's public comments made in a public forum. Accordingly, all participants bear responsibility for their own statement and commentary. Correspondence. Letter received from Dennis Gibson resigning as the construction official as of May 9, 2022. Resolution 22-99. Resolution acknowledging receipt and review of Planning Board Consistency Report for Ordinance 22-05.
I have a motion to adopt the table.
I'll make the motion to adopt.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Roll call. Committeeman McLaughlin.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Morris.
Yes.
Committeeman Davis.
Yes.
Mayor Farrow.
Yes.
Ordinances. Second reading and public hearing. Ordinance 22-05. An ordinance amending Chapter 35, Land Use and Development, Article 5, Zoning District Regulations of the Revised General Code of the Township of Millstone, County of Monmouth, and State of New Jersey.
Explanatory statement. This ordinance revision provides for the amendments to the BP and PCD zones to provide additional controls to reduce the impacts of commercial development. Affidavit of publication presented. I'd like to open it up to the public at 8:06 p.m. Sure, if you'd like to come up, please. If you could just turn that mic and state your name and your address, please.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You can just turn it.
Yeah.
Just face it to you, that's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to take the time to thank you
No,
so much for.
You just have to state your name and your address, please.
My name's.
Spell your last name. Okay. And your address. Thank you.
So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak and address the, highly respected and elected officials of Millstone. We appreciate all your efforts to, continuously improve and preserve the history that we have here in the community. And we sincerely appreciate your expertise and your efforts to do so.
Thank you.
So we, the family, have been residents of Millstone Township for about 60 plus years. Calling Millstone home for 3 generations, and we have a 4th generation here as well. Very young, so we're very mindful of the future and what that future holds for our little ones and the future generations, and of the mantra of kind of leaving it better than we found it. So as I mentioned, my family has farmed roughly 400 acres tirelessly for 60 years in this township. We've placed about 270 plus or minus acres into the farmland preservation program, which we feel very near and dear to. We think that's important for preserving the green space and what we have here in the community. So that said, we also own one property that is uniquely located that is not within the interior of Millstone, but it is, it's on the peripheral on Route 33 and Millstone Road. And the goal of the family was to place most, if not all of our property, our farmland, into, a farmland preservation program, as we feel that that's important. And to use this particular property for development, knowing that, with that in mind, the development program that has been in place for years, to wit PCD, which permits industrial development, was sort of the foundation for our estate and business planning, for why we made the decision with regard to all the other properties that we own, mainly preserving property. So I'm here to say that the township's zoning ordinances, as they were written, I believe, include considerable protection for environmentally sensitive properties, including wetlands, wetland buffers, and flood hazards, flood zones. I think that the current ordinances as they exist include considerable provisions that restrict or limit the intensity of development. I think that's fair to say. The restrictions that are proposed here in this 2205 will substantially impact the utility of our properties, this particular property on 33 and Millstone Road. The environmentally sensitive areas are already protected in the existing ordinances. The set of revisions reduces the size of warehouse buildings and the height of warehouse buildings. The ordinance that exists already directs the development to the upland portion of the property. So, most significantly, the ordinance as drafted imposes a height restriction on warehouse buildings that is not consistent with the current marketplace. Warehouses capped at 30 feet are substantially substandard in today's market. Warehouses that are being built currently are in the range of 35 to 50 feet high. And since the early 1990s, the BP zone for Millstone Township allowed warehouse and other industrial buildings at the height of up to 45 feet. And it's clear that's market acceptable, and the standard works. That standard would result in buildings that are, competitive within the marketplace for development. And I think that even residential homes today within Millstone, depending on the zoning, can be built up to 45 feet. So that's of note. So being competitive in the marketplace converts to enhanced tax revenue for the township. And, we would ask that the township reconsider these revisions and to table the current application for further review and discussion. Given the opportunity to participate in these discussions, we would be pleased to provide evidence of market conditions. I feel like we have a responsibility, to our residential neighbors in the community. We have a real potential to provide our fellow community residents with impactful and meaningful economic benefits, through said tax revenue. Including but not limited to these additional commercial taxes, I think can benefit our community with respect to education, which I know is important to everyone, infrastructure, and potentially, lowering residents, our neighbors' taxes, and inviting, folks to, improve our community and grow our community with, younger families like myself, and have it be a real option for folks to make it a destination to come to live in a thriving community. I think the bottom line is, being competitive in the marketplace converts to enhanced tax revenue to the township. So, that I think is a really important issue, that I'm sure has been considered, but I think warrants further discussion. And the bottom line, these ordinances, if adopted, will result in a substantial reduction of in our family's property values. As indicated in my opening remarks, all of the actions our family to date placing properties into farmland preservation programs was based on our family's ability to develop this property competitively. So again, my request is to table the current application for further review and discussion. Thanks.
Would anybody else like to come up? Thank you. I've been in this township over 60 years. Been here since when most of the roads were just gravel roads. We used to drive around here and rode our bikes through the gravel roads. And back then it was mostly farms. It was all you know was the farmers. And you have to understand, farmers, besides their sweat and their work, their equity is in the land. We don't have a pension. You don't have pensions or whatever they call whatever retirement funds or whatever they do. This is it. So back before it was mostly farmers, and they were crying before around when it was 1.5 or 1 acre to 2 acres. Then we had 3 and 4, and then you pushed it up to 10. In a way, it was, I think it made the farmers leave faster or quit faster. A few for sure. I know that one went up to 10. They said, forget it. They just did it. You just have to remember that there's so few farmers now, but the few farmers that are left still provide an abundant, affordable, and safe food. The agricultural industry I feel is very important. And it may seem like the farmers just all the time complaining when you downzone it or you do all this, but just gotta understand this has been our whole life, and there's very few farmers that would be willing to commit and stay. So we have few preserve farms. We'll still be here, no matter what. This area, this location is good for some of these warehouses. It was good for us. The location is right in the middle of a Philadelphia and New York market. We delivered to the Ocean County and Monmouth County shore, Freehold, Trenton area. So it's nice. So it would be good. So I think it's good for warehouse. What few lots that are available, I don't know whether it was worth your trouble doing it because most of it's all spoken for already because of the other proposals that are in the line that's in the township already. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. If you could just give to speak to you and to the public. Can you just give a synopsis as to the meat and potatoes of the ordinance and maybe clarify to the public as to the mechanisms of why we putting this in place?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
My name is McKinley Mertz. I'm one of the township planners. We represent both of your planning board and your zoning board, and we come to the township committee, usually myself, sometimes another representative from my office, but whenever there's a land use ordinance such as this one placed in front of you. So the ordinance that two gentlemen have just spoken to, number 2205, as was alluded to, just to give a little summary, it's amending the BP and the PCD zoning districts of the township. And again, as was mentioned, what the new standards are going to do is tighten the development restrictions for each of those two zones, specifically as it relates to the environmentally constrained portions of the sites, and bringing both of those zones into more conformity with each other. The BP zone, as was mentioned, those properties are very interior to the township. The PCD zone is almost completely along the 33 corridor. But whenever the BP zone was written, what was interesting about that zone is that they were permitted in a much higher density of development in terms of height, as was spoken to, lot coverage and building coverage. If we had been here in the 90s and we were going through this, we would have advised it to really be the other way around, actually, that the highway corridor should be more intense than these areas right in the middle of neighborhoods, which is really what stemmed this process that got us to where we are today. Is there's the considerable amount of concern that's been raised by residents about truck traffic going through the neighborhoods. There are designated truck routes that are supposed to keep these big tractor trailers on the larger roadways, and the township has officials and has engineers that are working to keep those truck routes up. It's still causing a significant amount of damage to the roads, and neighbors feel that there's been a lot of residential complaints about these trucks going through. So we didn't want to take away the zones altogether, but we did want to make sure that the density of the development was a little bit more controlled. So that's where this ordinance came from. And that is what it does. So specifically, the majority of the changes are happening to the BP zone, which, as again was mentioned briefly, the height is being lowered from 3 stories to 2 stories, 40 feet to 30 feet. The lot coverage and the building coverage are also being reduced, and the front yard setback is being increased. What's happening to both zones, the PCD and BP, is that when these calculations are determined now, they have to be calculated with the environmental constraints netted out. So if there's a 100-acre property, 20 acres are wetlands, the 50% lot coverage has to be calculated on those remaining 80 acres, not on the portion of the property that's constrained. There are absolutely a lot of Millstone is very good at paying attention to the environmentally sensitive areas, and there has been a lot of work over the years and decades to protect them. So in the eyes of the township, this is one more step to ensure that those are being protected while still allowing the development to continue. We're not zoning out these uses. We're not eliminating these zones altogether. So that is a summary, and again, the two gentlemen who spoke both alluded to what was happening, but for anyone else who is here who didn't get a chance to look more closely at it, that is what this ordinance is proposing. And I can answer any more questions about the specifics of it.
Come back up.
Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate it.
So, really appreciate that. So, am I hearing you correct?
I'm sorry, can you just, for the
Sure.
record?
Am I hearing correctly that the main primary goal is to eliminate or reduce large tractor trailer traffic?
That was one of two goals. It was to help control the intensity of the development within the neighborhoods that surround the BP zones, but also the environmental focus was the second one. So ensuring that the sites aren't being overdeveloped based on sensitive environmental features.
Sure. And I can definitely appreciate both of those concerns. But I kind of question, along the B or the PCD zone, which are sort of on the, outlays of the community outside of the residential areas. I'm of the opinion, and I could be wrong, but I feel like, especially with our subject property that I mentioned earlier on 25 Millstone Road, it is so close to 33 that that impact will be negated by the fact that we could control traffic very easily in and out of that property to just simply putting in a no right turn out of the property, right? So you have to direct all traffic to the main thoroughfare 33. So it is my opinion, I could be wrong, and I'd love to be able to, discover this and do more diligence on this. But, I think, and I'm of the opinion that there's still going to be continuous truck traffic, regardless of any change in ordinance in the PCD zone because of its location. So I think that the surrounding towns, Manalapan, Monroe, Cranberry, they're going to get all of the economic benefit of having, large scale industrial properties built from the tax revenue. And Millstone is going to still have to pay for that burden and pay for their potholes of those trucks that are driving through our towns. But we're going to get zero benefit by reducing what we can potentially gain and improve and have potentially gain in the form of economics to improve our community. And I think that there's an opportunity for us here to capture potentially an improvement in the community.
And I'll just a quick response to one thing you said. You're right. The PCD zone, which is mostly on Route 33, those trucks really aren't the problem in terms of the ones going through the neighborhoods, which is why obviously we did make the changes associated with netting out the environmental features, but we did not tighten those bulk standards the same way we did with the BP zone standards. So those were really left almost completely untouched.
But the height is a real concern that is just simply not marketed. It almost makes it, and I'm in the real estate business as well, so I understand that, if you can't market a building that's built, then why are you building it, right? So if no one's going to rent your building if it's 30 feet tall maximum, warehouses are all about square footage, cubic footage, right? So it's very imperative, I think, to be mindful as to how we think about that. And that was, I'll allude to my request to table the decision to please, be able to give more thoughtful diligence around some of these topics.
You make really good points. I want to clarify one thing. The 30-foot height, we actually did not change from the current ordinance. The PCD zone has two different sets of standards. One that's associated with the larger planned development commercial, and one that's associated where you have like a really, really large property that's then broken down into parcels of 2.5 acres. The section in that one permits up to 35 feet. The section that we amended was just make sure I have the 15.5, which has a minimum lot area of 20 acres. So there's and that one's always been a 30-foot height for the buildings. So that's the one that was addressed in this ordinance for those larger properties. So the ones that qualify under a planned commercial development still have that 35-foot height.
35-foot height.
Correct.
Maybe I read it incorrectly, so I apologize for that. But
there are two ordinances, two sets of standards, so it gets a little confusing.
Right. So, and I just felt like it was put on pretty quickly, so I didn't have full time to digest, and we're just, we appreciate the opportunity to do more research and diligence about the other impacts of economics and feasibility. We could do traffic studies and all that, but I think that the township, if one of the goals is to reduce the traffic of trucks, which causes an inordinate expense for the community to upkeep our infrastructure and our roads, why not maximize the tax dollars that we can get for free, essentially, from businesses.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to come up? Being that nobody else is going to come up, I'd like to close the public portion at 8:28 p.m. Okay. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion to adopt the table?
I'll make the motion to adopt.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Morris,
Yes.
Committeeman Davis, McLaughlin,
Yes.
Mayor Farah.
Yes.
Okay, so ordinance 2205 is adopted. Second reading and public hearing, ordinance 22-06, amendment to ordinance numbers 21-15 and 22-02, amending Chapter 2 Administration Payroll of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Millstone by fixing salary ranges of the township officials and employees in the Township of Millstone, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey.
Explanatory statement. This ordinance amends the salary ordinance that fixes salary ranges for the township officials and employees. Affidavit of publication presented. I'll open up the public portion at
8:30.
8:30 p.m. Would anybody like to come up? Being that nobody would like to speak, we'll close the public portion at 8:30 p.m. Do I have a motion to adopt the table?
Move it for adoption.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll
Thank you. Roll call?
Committeeman Davis,
Yes.
Committeeman McLaughlin,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Morris,
Yes.
Mayor Farah.
Yes.
First reading, ordinance 22-07, calendar year 2022 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-45.14.
Explanatory statement. This ordinance authorizes an increase to 3.5% over the previous year's final appropriations. Do I have a motion to adopt the table?
I'll make the motion to adopt, Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call?
Committeeman Davis,
Yes.
Committeeman McLaughlin,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Morris,
Yes.
Mayor Farah.
Yes.
Second reading and public hearing to be held on May 4th, 2022 at 8 p.m. at the Millstone Township Meeting Room, 215 Millstone Road, Prineville, New Jersey. First reading, ordinance 22-08, an ordinance amending Chapter 2 Administration of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Millstone, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey by adding Section 2-28A, establishing a Green Team Advisory Committee.
Explanatory statement. This ordinance amends Chapter 2 Administration by adding Section 2.28A in order to establish a Green Team Advisory Committee. Motion to adopt the table?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
A motion.
Okay. Eric, you're going to second.
Okay.
Okay. Roll call?
Committeeman McLaughlin,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Morris,
Yes.
Committeeman Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Farah.
Yes.
Second reading and public hearing to be held on May 4th, 2022 at 8 p.m. at the Millstone Township Meeting Room, 215 Millstone Road, Prineville, New Jersey. Resolutions, consent resolutions. All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered routine by the Township Committee and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If discussion is desired of any item, that item will be considered separately. 22-100, payment of vouchers, April 20th, 2022. 22-101, resolution in support of the ability of municipalities to adopt regulations to protect public health, safety, and welfare from threats of flooding. 22-102, resolution granting a perpetual conditional license to owners of block 47.02, lot 2, to construct driveway across drainage easement. 22-103, resolution appointing construction official. 22-104, resolution appointing temporary building inspector. 22-105, resolution appointing full-time building subcode official and building inspector.
Have a motion to adopt the table?
Make a motion to adopt.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Morris,
Yes.
Committeeman Davis,
Yes.
Committeeman McLaughlin,
Yes.
Mayor Farah.
Yes.
Okay. Reports from various departments for March 2022. Tax collector, $438,598.29. Clerk's report, $1,308. Dog license, $1,036.20. Building department, $126,725. COA, $16,259. Municipal court, $16,921.87. Recreation, $26,511.89. And also included is the 2022 interest revenue. Township committee minutes, regular meeting minutes, March 2nd, 2022.
Do I have a motion to table or adopt?
I'll make the motion to adopt.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Committeeman Davis?
I believe I have to abstain.
You were,
Yes.
yes, you were absent. Okay, so abstain. Committeeman McLaughlin?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Morris?
Yes.
Mayor Farrell?
Yes.
Regular meeting minutes, March 16, 2022.
Do I have a motion to table or adopt?
I'll make the motion to adopt.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Deputy Mayor Morris was absent for that meeting.
Eric?
So,
I'll second.
Thank you.
okay.
Roll call.
Committeeman Davis?
Yes.
Committeeman McLaughlin?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Morris?
Abstain.
And Mayor Farrell.
Yes.
Regular meeting minutes, April 6, 2022.
Do I have a motion to adopt the table?
Make the motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Committeeman McLaughlin?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Morris?
Yes.
Committeeman Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Farrell.
Yes. Okay. Any liaison reports? Chris? Eric?
I'll just mention that the Environmental Commission had a very successful cleanup on April 9th. I believe we had about 45 volunteers that came out and cleaned up a large part of Crowland Way. Collected a lot of garbage, so it was a very successful day. And we thank everyone who came out and volunteered their time. And from Shade Tree, again, the Arbor Day is coming up, and there will be a planting plan at Wagner Park, the tree planting, and also in coordination with the schools, we're going to plant the trees. Some details still to be worked out on that.
Okay, great. Thank you. New business? We have,
The letter's in your packet. And the school is looking for their annual graduation ceremony to sponsor the graduation award at Excellent in Spanish.
okay.
So when I did speak to Committeewoman Zabrowski, she said to put this on because there were some other ideas.
Yes. So we're going to sponsor this and I believe something else.
Oh, okay, so go ahead and sponsor this.
Yes, if she told you to keep it on, then yes, we'll sponsor the Excellence in Spanish. And I believe she's working on sponsoring another award.
Another
Yeah,
one, so
yes.
we'll continue with this.
Yes.
Okay,
I think that was a $30 or something
correct.
Yeah.
award.
Yes.
$30 for each plaque. I don't know if
Gotcha.
they just give one out, if anybody,
I believe it's one.
just one?
Yeah, just one.
Okay.
All right. Any old business? Any comments from the dais?
Just that I want to commend the Environmental Commission and the volunteers. They happen to do Prodland Way, which probably hasn't been done for many years and for a lot of reasons with safety. And it's never looked as good as one of the main arteries into town. It's a really good representation as you come in, that it's not littered on both sides of the road. So, and you're right, Eric. There was probably 30 people on the road, and DPW did a really good job of controlling the traffic too and making it safe to make that happen. So, kudos to everybody who volunteered and thank the Environmental Commission. Personally, for me, who lives on that road, but you know, the committee also sees the value of what everybody on that team has done over the past year. So thank you again.
Okay. I just want to remind everybody that brush drop-off is continuing every Saturday through May 21st, and the following dates are April 23rd, April 30th, May 7th, May 14th, and May 21st from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 15 Baird Road across from Wagner Farm Park. Also, there's a Monmouth County sponsoring a paper shredding event in Upper Freehold is going to be on June 6th. Freehold Borough is going to be on August 6th, and Freehold Township is going to be on October 8th. So if anybody has anything, please go to those locations. I believe they are going to take as much as 4 boxes of shredding per family. Okay.
I think it's 100 pounds.
Or 100 pounds? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
100 pounds.
Okay. Any other comments from the dais?
I actually have a couple.
Sure.
Anybody driving through town probably realizes that Davy Tree, on behalf of JCP&L, are still continuing cleaning up or taking trees down, avoiding the power lines. I think they're actually on their 6th week in town, so they're doing a bang-up job. And they've started, I guess, yesterday, the milling and paving on Millstone Road. They're going to be doing Baird Road. They've done some concrete work already up in Arrowhead Way development, Sedona, Van Ardsdale, I guess is the other one. Is Van Ardsdale? I keep saying, yeah, it's Van Ardsdale. They've done some of the pipe work, which I think 180 something feet of pipe they've done. Hopefully we'll be able to pave that as well if the funds keep stretching out. We have Old Noah Hunt and Brewer are also slated to be coming up in the next couple of weeks. So as you drive around town, just remind people, please be careful, slow down.
Anything else? Okay. One last comment. That Memorial Day is coming up on May 30th. We're going to do a parade and then a ceremony at the Veterans Memorial adjacent to Town Hall at 470 Stagecoach Road. So we'd like all the residents to come out and participate in that event, and just say thank you to the veterans that have sacrificed their lives to protect our freedoms. Thank you.
We're going to live stream that again?
Yes, yeah, but yep, yes we are. Thank you. We're going to do the parade and the ceremony. All right, with that said, I'd like to open up the public portion at 8:41 p.m. Seeing that nobody is coming up, I'd like to close the public portion at 8:41 p.m. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
I will.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Awesome.
Thank you. Time out is...
All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Aye.